Standby power generation is something that we typically do not think about until there's an emergency or for some reason that the power is off for really an extended period of time. When we think about purchasing a standby generator, there are many aspects to consider on types and really what fits your need. The first thing we look at is really the power source and the cost of setting up a unit to power either a shop, a farmstead, or your residence. Several different types that we commonly encounter, at least in rural areas, might be a unit powered by a tractor or a PTO unit. Or we could get a standalone unit such as the one here next to me, which is powered by gas. They also make models that are powered by liquid propane, diesel, and something that's new on the market with the influx of hybrid and electric vehicles is using a battery backup from one of those units to supply that emergency power for short durations. The real purpose of a generator is to provide the same power supply as the utility company does. So for a typical shop or residence, we're looking at 120 volts in our receptacles, our general duplex receptacles, or 240 volts for certain appliances such as maybe air conditioning and things like that. But really, before we get into that, we have to look at the different types of generators and how they produce the power that we need. So there are two types of generators. Here's a standard generator, and really the engine has to be running at a certain RPM, about, I think this model is 3,600 RPM, to produce the 240 and 120 volts that our appliances need. If we apply too much load to this, it will generate less voltage and it can be detrimental to some of our appliances. So we have to be careful not to overload them, which we'll discuss later on. There are two types here. So one is a manual engage, meaning that my power goes out, I come outside and I hook up my generator and power my devices that I need to power until the utility lines or utility power is back up. Or there are auto engage, where it detects that the supply voltage or supply lines from the utility companies has cut out. It automatically starts up, and it is a almost seamless, maybe like a 30-second or so downtime, and then everything is up and running again. Determining the size or capacity of a generator is really one of the first steps that you need to do when really assessing to see what you need or what you want for your house. And to do that, there's a couple things that really come into play here. First is really how much are you willing to spend, because the more conveniences you have, the larger the generator it is, really the more it's going to cost. Or you could go the other route and just think, what is necessary for me to power in my house or my shop, and what is necessary to be on in a power outage. And that's really the route that I've gone here. So to do this, we have to first really assess the items that we need to run at the same time, because that's going to be determined by the available power that size generator can make. So generators come in all sizes, all shapes and forms, anywhere from 1,000 watts all the way up to 20,000, 30,000 watts and more. So anyways, you have to look at really what you want to run at the same time. So let me give you a couple examples, because there are two numbers that we have to keep in mind here. The first is running power, meaning how much power a device uses while it's running. There's a couple ways to do that. We could look at the owner's manual of a certain device, and it'll say that this product uses so many watts of power per hour. And that is a great way to do it. Here's another way to do this, and it's an inexpensive device. I think it was maybe $15, $20, and all this does is plugs into a receptacle, and in any device you plug into this, it's going to give you a readout of how many watts of power it is consuming. And so this device is very handy. There are several other electrical devices that we can use to do something very similar. So that's just measuring something while it's running. The second thing we have to be aware of: startup power or surge power or running power. So a device, while it's running its normal running process, is going to be a much lower consumption of power than on startup. So whenever you have a device that has a motor in it, say a refrigerator or a fan or a pump, anything like that, it's powered by an electric motor. And electric motors consume up to about 4 to 7 times more power upon startup. So for example, a furnace might run at 500 or a furnace fan might run 500 to 800 watts during normal running, but to start up, it might consume as much as 2,000 or 2,300 watts. A couple other common things that we might want to power in a power outage. Big ones that people are always concerned about are refrigerators and freezers. And typically a fridge might consume about 500 to 700, 800 watts while it's running. But starting up, once again, it might have a surge power of around 2,000. So now that we've covered a general overview of generators, different types, fuels, and really applications, I hope that you feel a little bit more prepared in making a selection that's right for you. Please find additional resources on our website, indianaprepared.org, our YouTube channel, and our Facebook.